Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fun English Podcast. I'm John, your host, and as always, I'm joined by the insightful and wonderful Sarah. How are you today, Sarah?
Hi, John. I'm doing great. Excited for today's episode. It's such a crucial topic, staying calm under pressure. We all face high-pressure situations, whether it's at work, in relationships, or even just in daily life. And learning to navigate those moments with grace and calmness can truly be life-changing.
Absolutely. It's one of those universal skills that can benefit anyone, no matter what stage of life they're in. And today we're going to dive deep into strategies, personal anecdotes, and even some science to help our listeners build that inner calm. So, where do we begin?
Let's start with defining what we mean by pressure. It's not just about big life events like job interviews or public speaking. Pressure can come from small things too, like a tight deadline or a heated argument. It's essentially any situation where we feel our performance or outcome is being judged.
That's such an important point. Pressure often comes from perception. For instance, think about athletes. A game-winning free throw is objectively the same action as any other throw. But it's the context, the crowd, the stakes that makes it feel so much heavier.
Exactly, and pressure triggers our fight or flight response. Our bodies release adrenaline, our heart rate spikes, and our brains sometimes go into overdrive. While that response is helpful in true emergencies like escaping danger, it can be counterproductive in everyday situations where we need focus and clarity.
So it's not about eliminating pressure, but learning how to manage our reaction to it. That's what we'll be tackling today. Let's get into strategy, shall we?
One of the best ways to stay calm under pressure is preparation. It sounds simple, but being prepared reduces uncertainty, which is a major contributor to stress. Think about students who study in advance versus cramming the night before an exam. Preparation builds confidence.
Absolutely. I remember a time when I had to give a presentation at work. I was nervous, but I spent the week before rehearsing. I practiced in front of friends, recorded myself, and made sure I knew the material inside and out. By the time I got up there, I felt ready. Sure, there were butterflies, but they didn't overwhelm me.
That's a great example. And preparation isn't just about knowing the content. It's also about anticipating challenges. For instance, if you're preparing for a big meeting, think about potential questions you might be asked. If you're running a race, visualize the course and plan your pace. The more you've thought through, the less likely you are to feel blindsided.
I like that. It's almost like creating a mental blueprint. But what about situations where preparation isn't an option? Say, an unexpected crisis.
Great question. In those moments, grounding yourself is key. One of the quickest ways to calm down is through controlled breathing. Have you heard of box breathing, John?
I have, but remind me how it works.
It's a simple technique. You inhale for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and then hold again for 4 seconds. It's like tracing a square with your breath. This helps slow your heart rate and signals your body that you're not in immediate danger.
That's fantastic, and it's something you can do anytime, anywhere. I've also tried mindfulness exercises, just taking a moment to focus on my senses. What I see, hear, and feel can bring me back to the present.
Yes, mindfulness is powerful. Pressure often comes from worrying about the future or ruminating on the past. By anchoring yourself in the present moment, you can reduce that mental noise and focus on what truly matters right now.
You have a go-to mindfulness exercise, Sarah?
I do. I like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. You identify 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste. It's simple, but so effective in centering yourself.
Another strategy I've found helpful is reframing. Instead of seeing pressure as a threat, I try to view it as an opportunity. For instance, if I'm nervous about a job interview, I remind myself that it's a chance to showcase my skills, not just a situation where I'll be judged.
That's a great mindset shift. Psychologists call this cognitive reappraisal. By changing the way we interpret a situation, we can change our emotional response to it. One thing I do is think back to past challenges I've overcome. It reminds me that I'm capable and resilient.
I love that, and it ties into building self-confidence. The more you trust yourself, the less intimidating pressure feels. Let's talk about self-talk, how we speak to ourselves in those moments.
Self-talk is huge. Negative thoughts like I'm gonna fail or I can't handle this only fuel anxiety. Instead, try affirmations like I've got this or I've prepared as best I can. Even something as simple as breathe, you're okay can make a difference.
Totally. And sometimes it helps to share what you're going through with someone you trust. Talking it out can give you perspective and remind you that you're not alone.
Yes, leaning on a support system is so important. Whether it's a friend, family member, or mentor, having someone to encourage you can be incredibly grounding. And don't underestimate the power of professional help if you're facing chronic stress or anxiety.
Absolutely. There's no shame in seeking support. In fact, it shows strength.
Before we wrap up, let's share some practical examples of how we've stayed calm under pressure. John, do you have one?
Sure. A few months ago, I was stuck in a huge traffic jam on my way to an important meeting. My first instinct was to panic, but I reminded myself to focus on what I could control. I called ahead to let them know I'd be late, did some box breathing to stay calm, and used the extra time to review my notes. By the time I arrived, I was centered and ready.
That's a great example. For me, it was during a family emergency. Everyone was panicking, but I knew I had to stay calm to be helpful. I focused on one task at a time, took deep breaths, and reminded myself that we'd get through it. In the end, staying calm helped me support others more effectively.
Those are such relatable scenarios, and I think they highlight an important point. Staying calm isn't about being emotionless. It's about managing your emotions so they don't manage you.
Exactly. And for our listeners, remember that staying calm under pressure is a skill you can develop. It takes practice, but the more you work on it, the more natural it becomes.
Well said, Sarah. Before we sign off, let's quickly recap our key strategies: preparation, breathing techniques, mindfulness, reframing, positive self-talk, and leaning on support systems. Before we wrap things up, let's leave our listeners with a little challenge. Over the next week, when you find yourself in a stressful or high-pressure situation, try one of the strategies we discussed today, whether it's box breathing, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 mindfulness exercise, or simply reframing your mindset. Pay attention to how it affects your reaction and let us know your experience.
I love that challenge. And to us through email or on social media and tell us about a moment when you successfully stayed calm under pressure using one of these techniques. Your stories might just inspire others to try them too.
Absolutely. And remember, this is a journey. No one is calm 100% of the time, and that's okay. Progress is what matters. Even small improvements can make a big difference in how you handle life's challenges.
One last thing I want to add is to celebrate your wins, no matter how small. If you've managed to keep your cool in a situation that would have stressed you out in the past, that's worth acknowledging. Self-reflection is key to growth.
Such a good point, Sarah. Often we focus so much on what we didn't do perfectly that we forget to give ourselves credit for the things we did well. Recognizing those moments builds confidence and motivates us to keep improving.
Before we go, let's quickly talk about long-term habits that can help build resilience. We've touched on some techniques for in-the-moment stress, but what about things people can do every day to build their capacity to stay calm?
Great question. I think regular exercise is a big one. It doesn't have to be intense. Just moving your body regularly can do wonders for stress management. Exercise releases endorphins, which help improve your mood and overall resilience.
I'd add maintaining a consistent sleep schedule. Lack of sleep makes it so much harder to handle stress. When you're well rested, your body and mind are better equipped to deal with challenges.
Nutrition plays a role too. Eating balanced meals and staying hydrated can affect your energy levels and mood. Caffeine and sugar spikes might feel helpful in the short term, but they can leave you feeling more jittery and stressed.
And don't forget about practicing gratitude. Taking a few minutes each day to reflect on what you're thankful for shifts your focus from what's stressful to what's positive. It's a small habit, but it has a big impact.
All of these habits create a solid foundation for staying calm under pressure. Think of it as building your mental and emotional toolbox. The more tools you have, the more prepared you'll be to face whatever comes your way.
So true. And to all our listeners, remember, it's okay to start small. Pick one or two of these habits or strategies and work on them consistently. Over time, they'll become second nature.
Before we officially wrap up, let's give our listeners a sneak peek at what's coming up in the next episode. Sarah, want to do the honors?
Sure. Next week, we're diving into the topic of decision-making under uncertainty. We'll be talking about how to make confident choices even when you don't have all the information. It's another skill that pairs perfectly with staying calm under pressure.
That's going to be a good one. I'm already excited. And as always, if you have questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, send them our way. We love hearing from you.
Thanks for spending your time with us today. Remember, staying calm under pressure is a journey, and every step forward counts. You're stronger and more capable than you realize.
John, well said, Sarah. Take care, everyone, and we'll catch you next time on Fun English Podcast. Stay grounded and keep striving for peace in your everyday life. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot, and it helps me create more great content for you. See you in the next video.